Mr. Otis, your camera, please. Mr. Lin, your camera, please. Thank you. All right. So, welcome to Anatomy Physiology. We are going to have our lecture today is lecture number 5, and today we will talk about the nervous system, spinal nerve, and peripheral nerves. In general, we will be talking about the autonomic nervous system. Okay, so today is a very interesting class. I'm going to go over several things that we're talking anatomy in bioscience. I'm going to just refresh you about that, and then we can go to the new material that is important for this class too. Okay, so we are going to talk about the neuroanatomy. Neuroanatomy is the anatomy of the nervous system. In other words, all right. So you already know that we have the division of the nervous system. Nervous system is divided in central and peripheral nervous system. The central nervous system, we already talked about that, the brain and the spinal cord, right? And all the components and all the details that we was mentioning in previous class. We are going to use that today too. And the peripheral nervous system. Talking about the peripheral nervous system, and I will make another slide here to make it more easy and clear about the peripheral nervous system. And please pay attention to this. Okay, so we are going to do the big classification of the peripheral nervous system. All right, so so we have the nervous system. Nervous system is divided into the central nervous system and the peripheral nervous system. Peripheral nervous system. All right, nervous system. So central nervous system, we have the brain and the spinal cord. So we already talked about previous class. Peripheral nervous system is our topic today. And talking about peripheral nervous system is all those spinal nerves that are coming, and the origin will be the spinal cord. The spinal cord is central nervous system. Whatever is coming out from the spinal cord, that is part of the central nervous system, whatever is coming out from there is called the peripheral nervous system. And I want you to remember that the peripheral nervous system is basically everything that is going to be away from the central, including your hands, your bones, your muscles, your feet, your legs, your upper extremities, your neck, the skin, the muscles, and the internal organs. Internal organs, the peripheral nervous system are going to they're sending nerves from the peripheral nervous system toward the internal organs: stomach, intestines, esophagus, heart, lungs, kidney, spleen, pancreas, gallbladder, urinary bladder, uterus, fallopian tubes, ovaries, etc. So that everything that is innervated, the word I said innervation, and write down this please. Innervation is the attachment of the nerve to the organ. Innervation, innervation, innervation. Innervation is related to the nerves that are going to have branches to the organs. Another word that is you need to remember is the vascularization. Vascularization. The vascularization is actually about the vessels. So the vessels means that is a word that we are using a lot. Vascularization, the more vascularization an organ have, the more arteries and veins the organ is going to have. Vascularization is the action to have vessels. Vascularization. Innervation is basically an organ who has terminal nerves. Innervation. Okay. So saying that, the peripheral nervous system I'm going to delete everything. I'm going to start fresh here. And let's start. Peripheral nervous system. Are going to divide into voluntary peripheral nervous system, and the other one is the involuntary nervous system. The involuntary nervous system and the voluntary. The voluntary nervous system, voluntary, just think about the name, is actually everything that you want to do. Any movement or any activity that you do, just thinking and you want to do it, especially the muscles, are going to be voluntary, whatever you want. That voluntary is called somatic. Somatic. And that is basically the most common term that we use. So you need to know the somatic is voluntary. And the involuntary is called the autonomic. 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 This autonomic nervous system are the two words. So autonomic, you need to know that autonomic is involuntary and the somatic is voluntary. Okay? Now, from the autonomic, we are going to have two components. We have the sympathetic nervous system, and the parasympathetic nervous system. Pathetic nervous system. All right, so the other name of the parasympathetic is the cranial sacral system. I'm going to write it down, cranial sacral system. And the sympathetic, the other way to call is the thoracolumbar system. Very simple. I'm not going to ask thoracolumbar, craniosacral, but sometimes they actually appears as a name. So why is called thoracolumbar? So we have here the central nervous system, which is the cerebrum, the cerebellum, the brainstem, and all these spinal cord. So the sympathetic nervous system are going to be, so here we have on the upper portion is the cranial portion, all this is cranial portion, cranial, and this below this is going to, so all this is cranial portion of the nervous system. All this below is going to be the sacral portion, sacral of the sacrum. So this is the area, so the cranial sacral, that we have the parasympathetic nervous system. That is the origin of the parasympathetic nervous system. And we have another origin, we have two origins, the parasympathetic nervous system, the sacral area. So on the extremes, in conclusion, on the extremes of the central nervous system is where it's going to originate the parasympathetic nervous system. And the sympathetic nervous system are going to be between, they're going to arise these spinal cord, spinal nerves coming from the thoraco, because this is the thorax area, and the lumbar area. So that is the sympathetic nervous system. The sympathetic nervous system. So you already know, in the middle, we have the origin of the nerves that are going to lead to the sympathetic nervous system, and the extremes, upper cranial and lower sacral, are going to be the two origins of the parasympathetic nervous system. You okay with that? Is that clear?
Okay.
Yes.
Okay. Now, as you can tell, the sympathetic nervous system are going to be divided, is going to be what we call the fight or flight. Flight or flight response. Response, okay? So that is basically when you are in the sympathetic, all these spinal nerves coming from the thoracic and lumbar area of the spinal cord are going to produce the sympathetic nervous system, that is the fight or flight. And the fight or flight is characteristically given by the adrenaline. Okay, the adrenaline is the actually fight or flight. The parasympathetic are going to be the parasympathetic are going to be the rest and digest. And that is going to respond basically to actually the acetylcholine. All right, so we will talk about that in a few moments. All right. All right, so that is the division. All right, so here we have the structure of the nerve cell, and this is kind of finish the review, and then we can go over the material I want to go over. So we have the sensory, the motor, and the interneuron. So these are the types of neurons that we have: the sensory, motor, and interneuron. And some of these nerves are going to have the myelin, the white matter, and the unmyelinated, that is going to be the gray matter. So that is review from previous class. So here we have a cross section of the spinal cord. This is the spinal cord. Okay, just to have an orientation, the spinal cord is going to be drawing something like this, like this, like this, like that, like that. So if you see here, this is anterior, and this is posterior. How do you can tell? All graphics are going to be like this. Very simple. Look, this is actually like if you put a line here, that is anterior, and this look like a butt. Correct? It's posterior. All right. So anterior and posterior. So here's the anterior portion of the body, and this is the posterior portion of the body. All right. So knowing that, you're going to see that we have, for example, a receptor. This receptor. What receptor? Let's make a receptor for pain. So example is just you are heating up a teapot, and the teapot, you touch the teapot that is very hot. So what happened? All these receptors, if you see here, the pathway of the stimulus are going to go this way, this way, this way, and they are going to go to the spinal cord. So you have a pain. You put your hands in a hot pan, and actually the pain sensation is going to go from this nerve towards the spinal cord. In the spinal cord, what is going to do? They are going to travel all the way up to the brain, and which portion is going to detect the pain is the somatosensory area. Somatosensory area. Which is the somatosensory area? Is the parietal lobe. Parietal lobe. So look at this. So they go, the sensation, the pain is, the stimulus is going to go from your fingers. This is your hand. Let me make your hand here. And the hand touching something hot. The pain is going, the stimulus is, or the pain sensation is going to get here. It's electrical impulse, because you're activating the receptors, the Pacini receptors, for example, that is for pain and touch. So these receptors that are in your hand are going to receive the heat, and they are going to travel through this nerve, and they go to the spinal cord. From the spinal cord, they are going to get up into the brain. Where? To the cortex, where? In the parietal lobe. And the parietal lobe is the one who detects the pain. Is the somato. Somato means body, sensory, sensation. Is the sensation of the body. So that's why it's called somatosensorial area. Okay? So that is actually the moment where you are aware of the pain. You're aware of the pain, not when the electrical impulse or sensation is getting to the spinal cord. No, they're going to go up, all the way up. Let's take an elevator going all the way up to the brain. And that is when they touch down the parietal lobe, the somatosensory area, and said, ouch. That is the moment you said, ouch. Oh, it's pain, right? So this nerve are going to, that is bringing towards the spinal cord and towards the brain, is called the afferent nerve. Afferent is everything that is bringing into the spinal cord and send it to the brain, right? So to the parietal lobe. Then we have the response. The response is going to be from the same area of the parietal lobe. They're going to contact the frontal lobe, etc., and they are going to send a message down. They are going to send a message going down, and down, and they go to this portion of the spinal cord. This is the anterior portion that is going to send another spinal nerve here. These spinal nerve are going to send orders to the muscle. This is the muscle where you say the pain, and what you're going to do, oh, I have pain. Your hand is still there like 5 minutes. No, you're going to touch the teapot, and the teapot immediately, oh, it's hot. Boom. You take your hands out. How you take the hands out? With muscle contraction. And that is what the parietal lobe are going to send orders for with another group of the frontal lobe, because frontal lobe is the motor area. The parietal lobe is going to be the somatosensory. The somatosensory send the information to the frontal. The frontal are going to send this pathway down there of the information to the muscle. And that nerve is called the efferent. 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 The efferent nerve. Efferent. That is review from bioscience. I'm doing again. So otherwise, I could say, yeah, this is the circuit of the afferent, efferent for the pain. That's it. But no, I'm trying to explain you in more detail. Okay. All right. So now, when you try to touch something hot or something cold, let's make it cold. Cold. You have cold, hot, very cold water. So the sensation is going to go to the afferent, go to the spinal cord. From the spinal cord, they're going to go up to the cortex of the brain, the neocortex, cortex, or gray matter on the cortex, parietal lobe. Then they're going to come down, and they're going to send the efferent that is making the order to the muscle to remove your hand, what is making you having pain. Is that clear?
Yes.
All right. So now, just to remember, what is first, afferent or efferent?
Afferent.
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 The afferent. A afferent. E is in the alphabet is going to be later, right? After. E, efferent. Efferent. You okay with that? Okay.
Yeah.
Now, another thing that you need to remember is we already know the afferent, the efferent. We already know how to identify what is anterior, posterior of the cross section of the spinal cord. We are going to have what we call the arc reflex. Arc reflex. The arc reflex is basically is a movement of your body where you are not aware of things. Why is that? So, for example, you have a reflex of your knee. Okay, so it's what we call the knee reflex, knee reflex, knee reflex, and this is NCLEX. Knee reflex is called the DTR. DTR is the deep tendon reflex. That is part of your assessment when you are doing a nervous system. DTR, the deep tendon reflex. Okay, and now, so if you do the reflex of your tendon, you hit your knee, and it's automatically, without any control, your feet are going to kick, right? It's going to kick. So basically, even you are not aware of what happened, because everything is happening so fast that you feel the sensation of somebody stopping after the reflex, right? So basically, the reflex is almost milliseconds earlier than you are aware that somebody is hitting your knee. So how is that happening? So the receptor is going to be here. So this is the kneecap, below the kneecap, and you're going to hit, right? And what happened? They are going to follow the afferent, and the afferent reach again the spinal cord. But at this moment, what is going to be different in this arc reflex is that they do not go to the brain. They don't take the elevator and go all the way up to the brain. They're going to not go that way. What they're going to do is they're going to pass from this point, immediately are going to pass to the efferent. So there's a bypass here. So the afferent, they don't go to the cortex of the brain, they don't go to the brain, but instead of that, they go directly to the efferent. And that efferent, that bypass, and that bridge is going to be done by this nerve cell, this one. This nerve cell is the connection directly from the afferent to and the efferent. And that is called the interneuron. The interneuron. The interneuron. You okay with that? All right.
Yes.
So what is the R reflex pathway? The R reflex pathway will be the afferent, the interneuron, and the efferent. What is the normal pathway of pain or sensations? Afferent, spinal cord,
Brain.
cortex, spinal cord, and efferent. So the loop is much more, they are going to go in longer distance, right? So it's going to be taken longer. Is that clear? Is that clear?
Yes. Yes.
So we have the sensory nerves, that is basically the afferent, the motor neuron. The motor neuron is the efferent. Motor neuron is the efferent. Motor neuron is the efferent. And the interneurons will be between this afferent and the efferent. Okay? All right. So one thing I want just to remark here, in just taking advantage of this, is that we have another cells called the neuroglia, or called glia. All right. These neuroglia are not nerve cells. They are not nerve cells. These neuroglia look like neuroglia sounds like a nerve cell, right? But it's not. Neuroglia and glia are cells who are going to give support and nutrition to the nerve cells. Just to make it very simple, here we have a nerve cell. Here we have an artery with blood here, but these blood are going to give nutrition to the nerve, but it's not directly. They are going to be a cell here, a cell who is going to basically filtrate everything that is coming from the blood, and after the filtration, they are going to give it to the nerve cell. These cells that are in between the vessels and the nerves are going to be called the glia or neuroglia. Is that clear?
Yes. Yes.
Okay. Just to finish about the myelination, we have the myelin, that is the white matter, and we have the unmyelinated, is the gray matter. Who is the gray matter? The unmyelinated is going to be the cortex called the gray matter, on the cortex of the brain. Where we have another gray matter, we have gray matter on the diencephalon. Diencephalon, the seeds of the orange are going to be gray matter. We have some gray matter too along the spinal cord. It's not I'm not going to talk about that, but just to refer that the other component, the white matter, is basically the rest. The white matter is the messenger, is the one who transmit the orders given by the gray matter. Gray matter, the commander. The white matter, the messenger. The gray matter, the commander, the one who gives orders. And the white matter is the one who transmit and take out the message where they need to go. Okay?
Yeah.
All right, perfect. So that is basically what we was talking about, afferent and the efferent interneuron. Okay. All right, so I want to ask you something. And probably I'm going to, don't tell me, no. Oh, where I put it? I delete the picture, I'm going to kill myself. How I can delete the picture? It was looking so much. All right, so I need. Yeah, I didn't put it. All right, so let's just get started. So, all right, so we already talked about that. Let's see. All right, so this is going to be new. All right, so let's see. All right, so I will tell you very short, a little bit about my story, because I think I didn't tell you. If I told you this, just let me know, please, because I don't want to repeat that. There is new student. What is this? Oh my God, appears something weird there. Today is happening weird things today. Okay. All right. So, tell me one thing. Tell me, a person who, Aurora, I know, but just say yes, okay? All right. So, a person of 90 years old can study. Let's go to Maria. Jasmine, what do you think? I want, I am 92 years old, 90 years old, and I want to go to the university. So, can, do you encourage me to do it? Yes or no?
Um,
Honest, no?
yes, I could say.
Yes, but you have a question mark above your mind, right?
Yeah,
Right? Yes or no?
yeah.
Why is that question mark?
Because of her age, of the
Oh,
age.
because of the age. Oh, there you are. That's what I like to hear. Okay, excellent. What do you think it means? I say, let's see, joy. I can barely walk, but joy. And I want to go to university. I going to make it. Yeah, I going to make it. Yeah, with my stick. Yeah, I going to do it. So, do you recommend me do that or no? No, no, no. Why joy? Why joy? Why? 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 No, I cannot hear you, Miss Joy. I wish I could hear you. Lee, what do you think?
I think no.
You don't know?
I say no
No, why? Yeah, okay. So that is very straight. Why?
because I think like 90. That's the time you have to like enjoy your life with the family and spend time with them more than like go to the university because you
Okay.
make money, you have money already. So why you come back to study for what?
Oh, that is philosophical. But I want to know about the academically intellectual activity from
I
that point of
think your brain can't remember stuff like that. As you keep
view.
going, some nerve cells, is it deteriorate? Uh,
Very good,
you
Joy.
lose some impulse on nerve cells.
Okay, I will try. I will. Okay, I will explain you very quick about a little bit about my story. Probably, if you heard that, I will just stop. But anyhow, I was very fast. I graduate from the med school, and all my classmates, they want to go to the big hospitals, to the city, etc., etc. And I was the only one, probably of very few of us. They want to go to the frontiers of the country, to go to where is no doctor, there is nothing, in order to make actually help people, really help people. And I was one of those. Okay, so I went to the jungle with with rotate with we was doing a how we call mobile hospitals. So we was camping. We was going all the jungle, especially close to the Marañón River, close to the Amazon, with a lot of we was walking, canoe, a lot. Beautiful, beautiful. The days and nights, rain is amazing. I was so enjoyable. Anyhow, so I was there, and then little by little, with my efforts, people was thinking I was crazy doing things and that. I'm very proud of that. With the time, I became director of three hospitals. Okay, in 4 years, I was working for the World Health Organization at the beginning. Then I started to work with the Doctor Without Borders. Very amazing time. Mosquitoes, animals, etc. Anyhow, so then I was having everything. Everything I want. I go to the city, I have everything. But one day my father came to the jungle. I said, "You know what you're doing here?" They was thinking I was having three, four, five kids everywhere, having kids here, there, and that. But I was just myself. I was alone. I just doing medicine. But anyhow, so I came to then in 3 days from the jungle, go to Lima. The next day I arrived to to Houston, and then I went to California, and there I start all my ordeal. At the beginning, I came here and I said, okay, so I'm a doctor, I'm OBGYN surgeon, I was doing World Health Organization, Border Without Frontiers, very well, salary, etc., etc. I have everything, I had to sell everything there. Anyhow, I came here and I was trying to look for a job. I went to Berkeley, I went to UCLA, and they told me they cannot accept me because I don't have my papers. So papers was to pass the USMLE. At the end, I passed the USMLE. The USMLE is the licensing for medicine. But anyhow, I was 6 months without doing anything because my English was I thought I could speak English. I couldn't speak anything at all. I didn't speak English at all. I didn't understand anything. I thought I could speak, but I couldn't. Then I put my resume, director of 3 hospitals, working here and there. Actually, all my 2-3 pages of conferences I was doing all the time, and etc. etc. And I couldn't find a job. I couldn't find a job, and I was saying what I'm doing, and the money was gone. Little by little, money was gone. I was having like the life of high level there in Peru. I was trying to have the high level here too, but the money would start to go away. So one day I was tired. 3 months passed, 6 months passed, and I couldn't find a job. And I get tired. My father was telling me, okay, the light, the water, etc. So it was just embarrassing. And then I decided to get rid of my resume. So I put everything away, and I just put, my name is this, I have this age, I'm alive, I'm healthy. And in 2 weeks, I found a job. That was my resume. And what I found was actually delivering newspapers. Yeah, that's where I start. I deliver newspapers. I remember October 25th, 1997, my salary was $525 to work 7 days a week. Fridays, Saturdays, Sunday, holidays, no Christmas, nothing. And that salary, I give it to my father. Everything, every single penny, everything. Well, anyhow, so then I was crying. I was saying, I'm going back to Peru. What I'm doing here. I was throwing the goddamn newspapers, and I was crying, literally crying, because what I'm doing here, I'm a doctor, what I'm doing here. And I was delivering at the beginning 1 newspaper, but then I was trying to deliver 3 papers. So instead to have $525 a month, I was having like 1,800. So I was doing some kind of a little money, and I was delivering from 2 o'clock in the morning until 10 o'clock in the morning. So 2 o'clock every single day. So my brain was mashed potato, totally burnout. And when I was walking, the animals, they knew me already. The raccoons, they know me. They was not scared about me. The deers, they was walking with me like I was another animal. The skunks, they knew me. So I knew where the skunk live. I was doing shortcuts because it was delivering by hand and walking. Anyhow, so then I decided to study. I said, I don't know, I need to start this from ground zero. I'm not going to deliver the papers the rest of my life. So I decided to pass the USMLE. And when I was studying, I couldn't remember anything at all. Nothing. Zero. I was totally, oh my God, I become mental retarded. That is all my conclusion. Guillermo, you are mental retarded. Period. So you cannot do anything. But I said, no, I'm going to do it. And then I started to study hard. I was walking right and left, memorizing, pushing my brain as much as I could. And in 2-3 weeks, I started to have results. And I started to remember a few things, more and more. There was about 3 months after that I feel like I was like a sponge. My brain was like a sponge. It was not much potato anymore. And I started to pursue my exam. I passed step 1, First, I passed step 2, then step 1. And then I was applying for a residence, but they was sending me to Nebraska and all that. And I have my family here. So I said, no, I don't want. So meantime, I start to study ultrasound in Gardening Academy. I'm sonographer. So I will study, I have 3 licenses. 1 to the abdomen, OBGYN, of course, and the vascular. And that is where I met my wife too. So we are already happily married since 2006. So it was already part of my life, Gardening Academy. So that's why it stayed so long until then, 2004 until today. Anyhow, so, and then how come, and that is the moment I'm going to tell you, how come actually I could remember all that stuff. So you know that your nerve cells, when you're born, you start to reproduce nerve cells more and more and more and more. You have 15 trillion cells at the end. At what age? Between about 26 years old. At 26 years old, how old are you? How old are you? Tell me, how old are you? So at 26 years old, your nerves stop to reproduce. And what happened? They are going to get a plateau, the same number of nerve cells. So you approximately after 26 years old, there is 10,000 nerve cells who are dying every day. 10,000. 5 to 10,000 are dying. So that's why when you get older, you have less and less and less and less nerve cells. And you cannot reproduce more cells. So if you have 26, that is your maximum number of nerve cells. After that, it's going to be the same or going down. So the question is, a person of 90 years old that have this process are going to have a little bit of nerve cells. But this person can go to the university and study hard level subjects? The answer is yes. The answer is yes. Why is yes? Why do you see elderly people multiplying numbers very fast? For example, tell me, how much is 15 times 15? Somebody. 225. How much is 75 times 75? 8,625. So how you can do that? Very easy. I'm going to show you the trick, Larry. I'm not a genius, huh? Okay, but I will show you tricks. And actually, you see elderly people doing a lot of crosswords. Do you see that? A lot of things on the. Why is that? Why is that? Why? Because the brain is like a muscle. It's like a muscle. So you train your brain. You train your brain to think faster. I tell you, when I was trying to study my exam for passing my board, I was trying to use all the resources I could. Even when I was walking on the street, I was in my car driving. I was multiplying the numbers of the plates, 56 times or 8 or 9, whatever. All this complication stuff, I was trying to multiply to accelerate my ability to think faster. And that's what I still doing that. When I go to Segway, I memorize the plate from the right and the left car. At the beginning was only one car, and then 2 cars. So I memorize that. So that is helping you. Those exercises, don't spend your life doing nothing. Always do something. If you don't have anything to do, just do that, for example. Okay? So now, what happened? How these elderly people can go to university and study harder? Because I told you they have less number of nerve cells. Less number of nerve cells. So how come? Very simple. Because if you remember the anatomy of the nerve cells are going to be, we have the dendrites, we have the body, we have the axon and the terminal axon, correct? All right. So now, the ones who are going to make more connections, they're going to multiply, is not more nerve cells. What you're going to multiply are the dendrites, When you study, you have more dendrites. You have more dendrites than at the beginning. I'm totally sure about that. The dendrites are the one who is going to make you more efficient. How is that? For example, let's go to San Francisco. Let's go to San Francisco, and you have 12 o'clock, midday. So it's a jam traffic, totally jam. You cannot go there. You're going to get in San Francisco in 3 hours, 2 hours, 3 hours. But now you know you can go to 280. You can go to 80. In 280, you're going to have another option, and probably instead to reach in 2-3 hours, you will reach in 1 hour and a half or 1 hour. But now the 280 highway is jammed. So do you have other solutions? What else you're going to do? You're going to do to El Camino Real. El Camino Real. All right. So you have 3 options. And going to the Camino Real, for San Mateo, probably is half an hour, 45 minutes. Right? So you have 3 options. 3 options. But if you only know one option, you're going to stuck in traffic. You got it? Now, who is giving you those options? Those options are the dendrites. So people who are exercising their mind, doing crosswords, exercises, whatever, they are going to train their brain, and they have more options. They have more pathways where they can get into the solution. How many dendrites you have for each nerve cell? You have approximately 10,000 dendrites. Like, imagine you are the cell, your hair are the dendrites. So 10,000 dendrites. But when you are studying, you are multiplied by, they are going to duplicate or triple. So that is when you're studying. So that's why a person who are 92 years old can study whatever they want. Whatever they want. Why? Because exercising your brain, you're going to create more dendrites. And the dendrite is going to make you, that is the moment when you have, oh, I understand this. They click, make a click. That means that you already have those dendrites being produced. And they're clicking. It's like different pathways. You can have different options. You don't have only one option. You're not thinking like this. You're thinking more spread out your panoramic view. And that is giving you when you study. I'm going to be more specific. I told you to study 3 times a week, 3 hours, every day, 3 hours a day, at minimum. Why? Because those students, tell me, you're a student, I was a student too many years, you're a student, you study one day before. Probably you will pass the exam. Probably you will pass the exam, but in 3 days you forgot everything. Yes or no? Right? It's very common, right? But if you study methodically 3 times, 3 hours every day, what happened? You're going to stay with the memory, is going to stay longer. Why is that? The answer is this. The answer is that the dendrites are going to take 3 days minimum to be formed. So if you study one time only, one day before only, you don't have enough time to produce this dendrite. So those options, El Camino Real, 280, are going to disappear from your mind. You will not know those pathways. So that's why the more you study, the more dendrites you're going to basically learn, capture more information. And the last part of my story is that I was cleaning after newspapers. I was doing Alzheimer's Center. I was cleaning pee. I was cleaning poo. I was cleaning everything, mopping the floor. As a CNA, not even CNA. I was lower than CNA. I was not CNA. There was a personal care, they called me. And then suddenly, God helped me there. Some lady wanted to hire me to take care of a patient who has a stroke, and actually was old already. And he was a doctor from Harvard. He was psychiatric. And I was staying with them 4 years. 4 years. Meantime, I was studying and working in ultrasound too at the same time. And what happened is that they treat me like I was their kid, their son. And I learned everything from there. I learned ballet, I learned music, I learned operas, I learned painting, I learned how food, style, I mean, how to behave. 4 years. And actually, it's still in my memory, these guys. Was actually a Skolnick family. Was in San Mateo. And that's how I arrived to San Mateo, because they hired me there. And they pass away. They have good memory from them. But yeah, I still remember them and all the help that I received. Nobody who's coming from our country or first generation is easy here. So everybody need to pay the price, and I did it, and I'm very proud of that. So I know how to throw a newspaper. Okay, all right. So that is about. So that's what the focus about this class is. I want you to know that you can do everything. You can do whatever you want. It's just an effort. It's just to make a decision. If you make a decision today, anatomy, physiology, pharmacology, 1, 2, etc., is going to be simple. It's always need to make an effort. Everybody got what they deserve. You are intelligent. Nobody here is mental retarded like I was one time, or I consider myself. You're not. Each of you here have the potential to do whatever you want and make proud your family and the efforts that everybody is investing on you somehow. Okay? All right. So no more talking about that, and let's continue. Any question? Okay.
Dr. J,
Yes.
so the 90-year-old person going to school, that's if they've trained their brain to want to do it, right?
Yes.
And not sick of nothing, no dementia, no arthritis, nothing.
Yeah. If you don't have any medical background, of course, no, right? But yeah, the more you keep busy your brain, your mind, that is basically creating more dendrites. So let's go now after this class and create a lot of dendrites. Okay, so that is your job. So you want dendrites? You like dendrites? Let's do dendrites. Okay.
Is there a limit to dendrites? Is there a limit to how much you can grow?
I don't know. Well, I never asked me somebody that. I don't know what could be the maximum number of dendrites, seriously. But yeah, you can increment even quadruple your number of dendrites. That is amazing. Okay. All right, Alina, you okay? Alina, you're
The,
right.
the thing is you can destroy your neurons.
Yeah, I'm okay.
Okay.
Yeah, the neurons cannot be multiplied. What they multiply only are the dendrites, and that is what you can do now. Okay. All right.
How can you keep the dendrites healthy? How can you keep the
Keep
is something
the same,
drink or eat or exercise or
keep thinking, keep stimulating your mind. Stimulate your mind, stimulate with your eyes, with your nose, with your mouth, with your ear, with your touch. So that's why people stimulate more, they're going to learn more. For example, there's people who are visual and hands-on. So you double stimulation. So that is going to accelerate even more your heart, your knowledge. Okay, all right. So all right. So if it's any other question, please let me know. All right. So here we have this this nerve cell with all the components. I'm not going to go on that because you already know that. Just focus here is the terminal axon. Terminal is the end of the axon where it's going to be this is the muscle here. Can you see muscle? Is the neuromuscular junction, the giant cat that we already talked. Now let's see this. Let's pay your attention here. What pay your attention here is that the waves of the ocean, correct? The waves of the ocean. Now, you know that if there is something floating on the ocean, sooner or later, that object is going to end on the beach. Yes or no?
Yes.
Yes.
All right. So, and when that happened, it's because the waves basically are pushing the object outside towards the beach. Okay, is that clear? We okay with that? Everybody knows that, right?
Yeah.
Yes.
All right. That is exactly the same what happened in the nervous system as this beach. And we are going to understand that right now. I said right now. Okay. So here is the sequence of the nerve cells. Look at this. This is very important. Very important. So the electrical impulse are going to be, remember this, sodium, calcium, potassium, chloro, magnesium. Remember that?
Yes. Yes.
Everybody knows that, right? Okay. So that's what I was explaining so long time yesterday. Okay. So the sodium, potassium, they're going to be producing the action potential. The action potential. What is the action potential? Is the electrical impulse. Electrical impulse. Electrical impulse. Electrical impulse. All right. So listen to this. I'm talking about the ocean and the waves. So these electrical impulse are going to start where? In the soma. Here in the body of the nerve cell, and then they are going to pass through the axon. They're going to jump here because this is myelin. They're going to jump the electrical impulse that is going to be through the axon. Number two, going through the axon, and then they go to the terminal axon, and then what happened? Look at this. The electrical impulse is going this direction, from the body to the axon, from the body to the axon to the terminal axon, and from one nerve. So when they go to the terminal axon, the electrical impulse are going to continue to the next nerve cells through the dendrite. So the dendrite is where it's going to receive the electrical impulse from the previous nerve cell. So in conclusion, you will see that electrical impulse are going in this direction, in this direction, in this direction, in this direction. They're going from the body to the axon, to the terminal axon, and they go to the dendrite. To make it simple and not to make it so complicated for us, you need to remember that the dendrite is what is receiving the electrical impulse. And then when they receive the electrical impulse, they go to the soma, they go to the axon, terminal axon, the electrical impulse continue to the next nerve with the entry in the next dendrite. Is that clear?
Yes.
Yes.
All right. So number one. Number two, we have a cell. This cell, nerve cell, and please, I'm going to repeat this one more time. The cell are going to be like this cell. This cell is like normal cell, right? Here's a normal cell. Let's pull it, let's push it, let's make a shape. And actually you can have a shape of the nerve cell. So all these lining are the cytoplasmatic membrane, modified, of course. And these axons are going to be cytoplasmatic membrane too. And what is inside is the cytoplasm. And here we have projections of the cytoplasmatic membrane. And that is the whole cell. The only thing is just that the appearance is different. Now, why I'm saying that? Why? Because these cells, if you remember, are going to produce having the transcription and the translation. Remember that? That is going to produce proteins. They produce proteins. These proteins produced by the nerve cell, are going to be called the neurotransmitters. So don't forget that. Are going to be the neurotransmitters. Proteins produced by the nerve here are going to be here. They are going to be called neurotransmitters. What are the neurotransmitters? Proteins. What these proteins produced by the nerve cells, transcription, translation in the cytoplasm, are going to be called neurotransmitters. We will talk more about that in a few moments. Now, these neurotransmitters are going to pass through the axon inside. They're going to travel through the axon. They're going to travel through the axon, travel through the axon, and they go to the terminal axon. So they're going to travel in this direction, and then they're going to be released and then pass to the next dendrite. So from the terminal axon, go to the dendrite, and they are going to be transmitted, the neurotransmitters, all one after another until they reach the organ that you want. Now, the question is why and how these neurotransmitters produced by the nerve cells are traveling through the axon. Why they don't stay in the same place? They're going to travel through the axon. How is that? It's because the electrical impulse, each electrical impulse is going to be like this. Whoop, 1, 2, 3, 4. They're going to pass. So the electrical impulse are going to be like waves of the ocean. They're going to pass here, then here, then here, then here, then here, then here, like waves of the ocean. And each wave or each electrical impulse is going to push forward the neurotransmitters. So that's why we have and we need electrical impulses. Each wave, each electrical impulse is coming like boom, boom, like an impulse, like a pulse, electrical impulse is coming like pulses. Each pulse represents like a wave of the ocean. And this wave of the ocean are going to push forward the neurotransmitters. And that is how it's going to be transmit the neurotransmitters. So this will be the terminal axon or the axon, and the waves are the electrical impulses. On the waves are going to push forward the material that is floating there. In this case, the neurotransmitters. And the next day, when you go to the beach, you will see objects actually landing on the sand. Is that clear?
Yes.
So that is the importance to know about. That is the importance to know about the electrical impulse. The electrical impulse. Without electrical impulse, we cannot transmit the neurotransmitters. All right. So which neurotransmitters we have? We have neurotransmitters are going to make a small list. Neurotransmitters are going to be, listen to this. This is question for the exam. We have adrenaline. That is called the epinephrine. It's the same thing, epinephrine. It's a question for the exam, huh? Epinephrine. We have the noradrenaline, the levofit, that is pharmacology, is going to be the norepinephrine. Now, look at this. This adrenaline and norepinephrine are going to be called, question for the exam, 10 points for the exam, going to be called catecholamines. Catecholamine. What is a catecholamine? Catecholamine will be adrenaline. It could be noradrenaline or adrenaline, noradrenaline, both, whatever you want to call. These are catecholamines. So adrenaline is catecholamine, epinephrine, catecholamine, noradrenaline, catecholamine, norepinephrine, catecholamine. What is norepinephrine? Catecholamine. What is noradrenaline? Catecholamine. What is epinephrine? Catecholamine. What is adrenaline? Is catecholamine. So those are the catecholamines. You okay with that?
Yes. Yes.
Excellent. All right. So here we have some 115. Mama. Sorry. So look at this. That is all the universe of nerves that are going to be actually connecting all these. You see, all these points are all the different pathways that your brain is going to have. So that is how they are traveling, the communication of the nerves. So they are going to go through neurotransmitters and electrical impulses. Okay? We got it? All right. Somebody tell me about the time, please. You want the break?
12:04.
Okay, let's do a lunch break, okay? 12, 12, 4. We are going to go to 12, 34, 35, 12:35. Any
Thank you.
questions so far?
No.
Andrea, we said that we did before this before?
Now this, what do you mean? This
Yeah,
explanation?
the story and all that. I did it?
Your history, story?
Yeah, why you didn't tell me, Aurora? You mean? Okay, okay.
No, but that's okay. We have a new student and
Okay, all right.
motivate us, especially in these days that we are kind of overwhelmed. This kind of history is very impacting.
Okay.
Helps a lot. Thank you.
Thank you, thank you. Miss Joy, we okay with that? Are you satisfied with the explanation so far?
Yes, thank you.
Okay, dear. All right, so let's have a break. I'm going to take my breakfast and then I see you then. Bye bye. Hello.
They're not
Hello.
using that.
Hello, everyone.
Hi.
Let's get started. So today we are going to continue with the synaptic gap. The synaptic gap, as you saw in the video, is Otis, your camera, please. Haley, your camera. Lee, Arlene, Jasmine, your cameras, please. All right, cameras. Otis, your camera, please. All right, thank you. Right, so now we already know how the electrical impulse, the action potential, are going to produce the migration or transmission of the neurotransmitters. So now, for this, I want just give you a very good idea about what are the neurotransmitters. All right, so listen to this, please, very careful, okay? All right. So for this, I going to complete the first part in order to go into what the the main thing I want with the application of all of this. But first of all, we are going to know what is a neurotransmitter. You already know those are proteins that are produced by the nerve cell. So the neurotransmitter, they have dual activity. Don't forget that, please. That is going to be a lot of confusion later on if you don't realize this. Dual function. Dual function. For example, we have in the central nervous system and we have the peripheral nervous system. Right. The central nervous system are going to have, for example, we have the adrenaline, we have the noradrenaline, and we have the acetylcholine, we have let's another serotonin, we have dopamine, we have glutamate, we have GABA, we have many others. All right, so dual function. So when you are going to read textbooks or material, you need to know that adrenaline have two functions. One in the central nervous system and another different function in the peripheral nervous system. For example, adrenaline. Adrenaline is the fight or flight. We already know that. But when you are adrenaline, I will give you some example. When you are in stress, so when you're stressed and you cannot solve you don't have the solution of a problem. But suddenly, when you become stressed, you find the solution. That happened to you when you're working under pressure. You're functioning very much better under pressure. Many people have this sensation that they don't have the solution, but when they're stressed, in the desperation to find a solution, they found it. Why? Because adrenaline is going to increase that perfusion of blood in your brain. So that is going to, for example, increase your attention, you increase the focusing, for example, some of them, right? And other activities that we have, for example, the memory part of the intelligence is going to be part of adrenaline. Acetylcholine. Acetylcholine is going to be the concentration or attention too. That is in the central nervous system. In the serotonin are going to be the mood neurotransmitter, mood. So if you have normal levels of serotonin, you feel okay, you feel happy, right? So that is basically what happens in serotonin in the central nervous system. The dopamine is going to be the reward neurotransmitter. You feel satisfied. For example, you have pleasure or something, your dopamine is going high. You're smoking, for example. Smoking increases your dopamine, so it's a reward. So people who are smokers are going to basically have this reward. That's why cigarettes are going to be addictive. And other hormones, for example, other substances, cocaine, all these psychedelic drugs are going to increase the dopamine. So that's why that is one of the factors that you want that reward permanently that produce the addiction. Now, adrenaline in the peripheral nervous system is a different story. They're going to, for example, affect the heart, increasing the heart rate, increasing the blood pressure. So totally different from attention and focusing. They are going to, for example, produce in the artery, produce vasoconstriction. Vasoconstriction, you already know vasoconstriction. So that is in the peripheral nervous system. So that is different from what happened in the central nervous system. Acetylcholine. Acetylcholine is going to be the giant cat. You have the contraction of the muscles, contraction of the heart, contraction of the smooth muscle, contraction of the striate muscle, for example. So it's totally different. Serotonin. Serotonin, when you have high levels of serotonin, you are happy, right? So you are satisfied. It's the mood. You are in a good mood. But now in the peripheral nervous system, what is going to do? Gastrointestinal peristalsis. How is different that, right? So that depends where it's going to act. If they act in the central or peripheral nervous system. And dopamine. Dopamine is going to actually basically produce vasoconstriction. They can control the activity of your muscles. Are going to control the activity of muscles. So for example, I have good dopamine. I take my coffee. This is my coffee. I have good dopamine. I have nice dopamine. But now, if I have low dopamine, I start to shake. I cannot drink. And that is basically happening in Parkinson. So low dopamine, Parkinson. Low dopamine. This dopamine is the one who controls or tune your small movement of your body. When you have low dopamine, remember I was telling you, don't tell me I didn't tell you, low dopamine can produce these problems of tremors that is characteristic of actually Parkinson. All right, so saying that, just don't forget, the concept about this is, I don't want you to remember all the details so far. The only thing I want you to remember is that all these neurotransmitters, proteins produced by the nerve cells, they have dual function. One in the central nervous system and another one in the peripheral nervous system. So when you are reading chapters, they are going to mention about the central nervous system activity without mentioning the peripheral. So don't get confused. So basically, they have dual activity. You okay with that?
Yeah.
Did I pass this video before?
No.
No.
No? This is the Serengeti River. This, every year, the Serengeti River are going to basically have this spectacular, I would say, pathway of these animals, buffaloes. They're going to cross the river because the temperature change, etc., and that are going to be under very high risk. What is the high risk here? Let me see if I can find something. There you go. Who is this guy? Who is this guy? There you are.
He's gonna get one. Crocodile.
The crocodile, right? There you are. No. I'm telling you, he's going to escape. He's going to escape. So, but this, actually, the crocodile is going to try to eat the buffalo. Okay with that? All right. Perfect. So now, that is exactly the same, what happened in the nervous system. So here in the nervous system, in the synapses, synapses, please don't lose the focus here. This is the terminal axon. This is the terminal axon. So we have here the nerve, we have the axon and a terminal axon. And here we have another nerve with the dendrites. So that is a dendrite, and this is the terminal axon. This is the terminal axon. So just remember all the neurotransmitters, the dopamine, acetylcholine, serotonin, GABA, glutamate, adrenaline, noradrenaline, all these are going to pass from the terminal axon to the next dendrite. So they are going to pass in that way. But there's something happening here. There's three things that happen in, and the good thing about this lecture is I'm telling you, put together all the neurotransmitters, they have the same behavior. And that is very important to tell you, to explain you about, for example, Parkinson. I will tell you now. Look at this. Here we have the neurotransmitters. The neurotransmitter are going to be these small round structures. This is going to be, for example, the dopamine. Okay, the dopamine. So dopamine is a neurotransmitter, produces transcription, translation, electrical impulse, pushing like the waves towards the terminal axon. Then what happened? Another electrical impulse is coming. And what they are going to do is to release the neurotransmitter in this space. I'm going to tell you the anatomy of the synapses. Number one, this is the presynaptic. So all this is synapses. All this area is called the presynaptic, obviously, right? Presynaptic is the actually so before. Then this area, all these, the dendrite, are going to be called the postsynaptic. Very simple, no complicated. So we have the postsynaptic area. So synapses is everything. Everything is synapses. This is presynaptic, this is postsynaptic. And this space, always there is a space. There is no totally like together. There are a space. This is called the synaptic gap. A gap, synaptic gap. You okay with that?
Yes.
Okay. So saying that you have the presynaptic here, we have the postsynaptic here, and in the middle we have the synaptic gap. So there is three things that you need to remember. All right, so now what happened here? What happened is that at that moment, there are going to be the dopamine, for example, dopamine control the regulation, the movement of your hands or your body, not to have tremors, right? So the dopamine is going to go into the synaptic gap. So what is going to happen? Three things. That is happening for all neurotransmitters. Number one, they are going to pass directly to the postsynaptic. So the neurotransmitter pass directly to the postsynaptic. So they are going to pass directly from the pre to the postsynaptic. Number two, what is the second happening in all neurotransmitters? Some neurotransmitters are going to be in the synaptic gap and they are going to return. They are going to return. That is called the reuptake. And number three are going to degenerate, some of them. How? So listen to this. These neurotransmitters are going to go into the synaptic gap. Some of them, this is number two, are going to go back. And another ones are going to be destroyed in the synaptic gap, are going to be destroyed. So destroy or degenerate. So there is three things that are happening. So one thing is they pass directly, the other one is going to return, and the other one are going to be destroyed in the synaptic gap. You okay with that? You follow me?
Yes.
That is what happened in the Serengeti River, the river I was showing you. Serengeti River, I think, is in Nigeria, that is every year passing these buffaloes from the river. So from one side of the river is going to be the presynaptic area. Then the river itself is going to be the synaptic gap. And the postsynaptic is the other side of the river. So when they pass. So who are the buffaloes? The buffaloes are going to be the neurotransmitters. Some neurotransmitters are going to be able to pass directly from one side of the river to the other side. So that is number one. They pass directly. They pass directly. They pass directly. Number two, the buffalo is going to look at the river and say, there's a crocodile there. This crocodile is going to make the buffalo return back into the other to the without passing. They're going to go back, and the other one are going to be destroyed. So some crocodiles are going to destroy some of these neurotransmitters. We okay with that? There is three options. We okay with that? So
Yes.
who is the crocodile? The crocodile is actually an enzyme. I'm going to put here the crocodile is equal to, say, an enzyme. This enzyme is going to control the amount of neurotransmitter that you have. For example, these crocodiles are going to destroy the dopamine. Some crocodiles are going to destroy the acetylcholine or the adrenaline. These enzymes are going to be called the MAO inhibitors, the MAO and the COMT. MAO and COMT. So those are the names of the crocodiles. Those are the names of the crocodile. So why we are doing this? I will tell you one thing. Look at this. We have two main examples I can give you. Depression, somebody is depressed, and somebody have schizophrenia. Schizophrenia means double personality. Schizo means division. Schizophrenia means personality. We have schizophrenia, a divided personality. You're good and bad, depends on the situation. Depressed, you are down. You're actually depressed. Right? So what happened with the neurotransmitters on depression? What happened with the neurotransmitters during depression is that mostly all neurotransmitters are down, are low. Neurotransmitters are low. And schizophrenia is the opposite. You have a storm of high amount of neurotransmitters, a lot of neurotransmitters, and that is the cause of schizophrenia. So too much neurotransmitters, schizophrenia, and very poor amount of neurotransmitters cause depression. So in medicine, what we are knowing this is very important. Why? Because if you have a schizophrenia, the neurotransmitters are going to pass. And there is medication who are going to decrease the amount of neurotransmitters production, or they are going to increase the reuptake of the neurotransmitter. So schizophrenia too much, you don't want them to pass to the postsynaptic. You don't want to get into the dendrite. So they're going to actually decrease the pass, increase the reuptake, or increase the degeneration of the neurotransmitters. So these crocodiles, you have those crocodiles. I have the crocodiles. And that is basically a way to control that you have the certain amount that is needed for your body. You don't want to have less. You don't want to have more. So these crocodiles are going to control that excess. If you need more, most likely you produce more of neurotransmitters, or the number of enzymes are going to go down. So in order to have a normal and balanced amount of neurotransmitters. You okay with that?
Yes.
All right. So I'm going to mention just one drug that is basically probably you hear about that. It's called the SSRI. Do you know that? SSRI? SSRI is for depression. This is called the selective serotonin. That is an example. Serotonin reuptake. Wait a minute. So SSR, selective serotonin reuptake for depression. So what does it mean? That means that you have the reuptake is going to do this, is going to come back, but in depression you have low serotonin. You have low serotonin. Serotonin is the mood neurotransmitter. Good amount of serotonin, you're in a good mood. But low, you are depressed. So serotonin is a main component of treatment of depression. So what is doing this drug? This drug, what is doing is to select the serotonin reuptake inhibitor. They are going to inhibit the reuptake. So what is the resultant of that? That mostly of the serotonin are going to be more available to the next dendrite. We okay with that?
Yes.
In Parkinson, what you have is low dopamine. Low dopamine. That means what we are going, how we are going to increase the dopamine. Because if you have Parkinson, you have low dopamine. You want to have more dopamine passing. So what you're going to do is to give dopamine. So to increase the amount of buffaloes passing in bigger number to the next, to the postsynaptic, or to inhibit the reuptake. So you're not going to basically allow the dopamine to come back. They are going to, this is an enzyme who is going to be blocking that reuptake, and they are going to allow more dopamine going to the postsynaptic. And these crocodiles that are every single terminal axon and dendrite, they have those crocodiles, those enzymes that are going to destroy the neurotransmitter. So what about if we put some tape on the mouth of the crocodile? They cannot eat the neurotransmitter. And that is what is going to do less destruction of dopamine. So at the end, you have more dopamine passing to the neurotransmitter, to the postsynaptic. Okay with that?
Yeah.
Yes.
All right, everybody got that, right? Okay.
Is there a reason why it would be less dopamine in the first place? What is causing it to create less?
Yeah, we are going to talk about in pharmacology.
Okay.
I will tell you more now. No, just a moment. I will tell
Okay.
you. We have side by side, and that's what I was mentioned in the previous class. Side by side, we have the diencephalon. We have side by side, we have the basal ganglia. And besides that, on the side, we have the limbic system. The basal ganglia is the one who produces the dopamine. The dopamine, it basically is going to decrease. Basically, you see people who are having head traumas. Do you see these boxers? They're boxing, right? Boxing. They receive a lot of hits on the head. They are going to destroy the basal ganglia and decrease the production of dopamine. So that is going to lead into Parkinson. We okay with that?
Yes.
All right.
Well, it's damage to your brain, but it doesn't have to be head trauma, does it? Because my grandma had it. So my grandma didn't have head trauma like that. She wasn't a boxer. How does it affect normal people to decrease the dopamine?
Yeah, there is other things that happen that can happen. For example, people who use insecticides. People who have insecticides, I don't never use these herbs on the garden, ever herbicides, because that can lead into destruction of the cells who produce dopamine. Okay, there is some predisposition to on that, but definitely the destruction of the area of the basal ganglia that is in between the limbic system and the diencephalon, that is what is going to cause Parkinson. We will talk more about in pharmacology. Okay.
Is that like non-organic too? Foods you might eat?
We don't know. They said
Okay.
organic. We don't know in the future. I can. Whatever. There is many things in the history that we knew we was eating before, and after 10 years, 15 years, we learned that making some harm on you. So we don't know really. These organic substance, they use a lot of pesticides, a lot of that's why organic become popular, because they say they don't use pesticides. All right, so they don't use chemicals, right, for example. But there is unknown things which substance in the future are going to categorize that produce some problems in the body. Okay.
Thanks. Yes. Thank you.
All right. So now that is the big piece of what I want you to know. Now let's go back to our peripheral nervous system. We have the peripheral nervous system. Peripheral nervous system. And the peripheral nervous system are going to be, as you already know, the somatic are going to invert now. Somatic, or called voluntary. You already know that is voluntary. And we have here the autonomic. Autonomic. These autonomic are going to divide into sympathetic, and the parasympathetic. All right, so let's complete this. So this sympathetic is called the fight or flight. Fight or flight. So when you are stressed, when you're angry, right? The parasympathetic is going to be the rest and digest. When you pee, when you poo, when you eat, rest and digest. This sympathetic nervous system are going to work based on a neurotransmitter called the adrenaline. Adrenaline. These are going to look for adrenergic receptors. Look for the adrenergic receptors that are in every part of your body: arteries, veins, heart, lungs, etc. We have the parasympathetic is going to be the acetylcholine. The acetylcholine is going to look for the cholinergic receptors. Cholinergic receptors. Okay, you follow me?
Yes.
Yeah. All right. So adrenergic receptors are going to be three types of receptors. Alpha, I say three because it's alpha 1, 2, beta 1, 2, and beta 3. But beta 3 is not in the picture. So let's talk about the receptors that are going to be in the sympathetic nervous system. You're upset. Be upset right now. You get upset. Something is upsetting you. You're very angry. So that is your adrenaline going up, looking for adrenergic receptors in different parts of the body. These receptors are going to be the alpha 1, the alpha 2, are going to be the beta 1, and the beta 2. Okay? So this is very important. Okay? So, all right. So now, the cholinergic receptors are going to have the two receptors, the nicotinic receptor, question for the exam, nicotinic, and the muscarinic receptors. Muscarinic. Always I'm short of. I'm going to try to make it. Muscarinic. Okay. Oh my God. Muscarinic. With A. Muscarinic. Okay. So that is the muscarinic. All right. All right. So now I want you to remember this forever, please. Okay. Alpha 1 is going to cause, what is the function of the alpha 1 is the vasoconstriction. Question for the exam. 10 points. Alpha 2 is the vasodilation. Beta 1 is going to increase the heart rate and is going to increase the contractility of the heart. So that means that the heart is pumping harder. So instead to do this, they are going to do this. Beta 1, increase the heart rate and increase the contractility. Now, beta 2. Beta 2, what is going to produce is the bronchodilation. Bronchodilation. So bronchodilation, abbreviation is B, bronchodilation, BCD, bronchodilation. BSC is vasoconstriction. So the vessels become constricted, narrow. Vasodilation. You okay with that?
Yes.
Yes.
Okay. how to remember these things. All right, so we talked about this before, no, right? This is new, right?
Yes.
Yes, it's new.
Okay. Alpha 1. Listen to this. Alpha. So everybody tell me how many type of receptors we have in the sympathetic adrenergic receptors. Alpha 1, alpha 2, beta 1, beta 2. Everybody repeat, please. Sympathetic nervous system.
Alpha 1, alpha 2, beta 1, beta 2.
Receptor.
Please repeat, everybody, please. I want to hear everybody. What type of receptors we have? Alpha 1,
Alpha 1,
alpha 2,
Alpha 2,
beta
Alpha
1,
3,
beta 1,
Beta 1, and Beta 2.
beta 2.
period. Forget about the beta 3. Alpha 1, alpha 2, beta 1, beta 2. You okay with that?
Yes.
Yes.
Okay. So, do you have a lace with you? Oh my God. I should bring a lace. All right. So, just a moment, please. Just a moment. Okay. All right. So, please pay your attention here, please. Pay your attention here, please. All right. Are you ready? All right. So, how many receptors we have? Alpha 1, alpha 2, beta 1, and beta 2. Correct? All right. So, look at this. Can you see this?
Yes.
Okay. Now, nothing here, nothing. All right. So, it's not magic, but it's going to do something. Now, look at it. What is going to look like? Don't tell me fish.
Alpha.
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 That is alpha, correct? That is the alpha, yes or no?
Yes.
Yes.
What is this?
Alpha 1.
Alpha 1.
Alpha 1. Now, I'm going to lace it. Look at this. Inside. And what happened? I'm going to pull it.
Vasoconstriction.
That is a vasoconstriction. Okay? Vasoconstriction. Never forget that. Alpha 1 vasoconstriction. Alpha 1 vasoconstriction. Very important for hypertension, heart failure, angina. So you need to know that, please. Alpha 1 vasoconstriction. The vasoconstriction, what it's doing is to increase the blood pressure. So that is, but I'm not going to go on that yet. Now, what is alpha 2? Alpha 2 is the opposite, is the vasodilation. You okay with that? Another way, you want another way to remember? I will tell you now. You have a highway with one lane, and you have a highway with two lanes. Who is more narrow? Highway with one lane or two lanes? Alpha 1 vasoconstriction, narrow highway. And two lanes on the highway is alpha 2. Is more wider, is vasodilation. Okay? Okay, are we happy with the alphas now?
Yes.
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 Okay, excellent. Never forget that. Because I will tell you, example, if you have low blood pressure, you need to increase your actually blood pressure. How? Giving alpha 1. Right? If you have too high blood pressure, you're going to give alpha 2 because more space to the blood, less pressure on the for the blood to pass. Okay, so that is application. So at this moment, what I want you to remember is alpha 1 vasoconstriction, alpha 2 vasodilation. You okay with that?
Yes.
Now, beta 1. Beta 1, what is doing?
Increase heart rate.
Heart rate. Increase the heart rate. And the contractility. Everybody, please say contractility.
Contractility.
Yeah, okay, with the breakfast, please. With the breakfast. Contractility.
Contractility.
Contractility. That means, what does it mean? Very simple. The heart is going to beat harder, more strong, more force. You okay with that?
Yes.
How to remember that? How to remember that? You remember that because how many hearts you have?
2.
How many hearts? No, heart.
Oh,
One heart. So beta 1. So get upset. Beta 1. Your heart start to boom, 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 boom. Yes or no?
True.
Yes.
Right? So that is beta 1. And the heart start to contract harder. So now, beta 2. What is doing beta 2?
Bronchodilation.
Bronchodilation. How to remember is the lungs involved here.
bronch.
How many lungs do you have?
2.
2. Beta 2. Easy or not?
Yes.
Yes.
Somebody have asthma here? Don't tell me. If somebody have asthma here, you have this medication that is a spray, right? An inhaler, right? When you have asthma, what happens with asthma? You have bronchoconstriction. But if you use this spray, what it's going to do is a bronchodilation, because it's going to dilate the bronchi, and that is the albuterol. That is a beta 2. That is beta 2, what you are actually having as inhaler. Is that clear?
Yeah.
So now you have the basic of the receptors. Remember, please, open your eyes very wide and your ears too. The adrenaline is going to look for adrenergic receptors. Adrenergic is a word. Don't miss that word. Adrenergic receptors. So what are the adrenergic receptors? Alpha 1, alpha 2, beta 1, beta 2. So the adrenaline, not only the adrenaline, but the noradrenaline means the catecholamines are going to activate the sympathetic receptors. And what are these receptors? The alpha 1, alpha 2, beta 1.
Beta.
We okay with that?
Yeah.
All right, thank you. Now, that is multiple applications here. So, and the example I was giving you in the past. All right, so now the parasympathetic. So we already know the sympathetic. Let's talk about the parasympathetic. The parasympathetic are going to have, is the rest and digest, and is going to use a cholinergic receptor. So the acetylcholine is going to look for a receptor called the cholinergic receptor. What are those cholinergic receptors? Are going to be the muscarinic and the nicotinic. You want me to write it down, or you already have it?
We have it.
We have it.
You have it?
Yes.
So there, I saw one face that said no.
No, we have it.
All right, so I'm going to write it down just again. All right, so we have here the nicotinic are going to put, cholinergic receptors are going to be the nicotinic, and the other one is the muscarinic. Question for NCLEX. The effect that we are looking for is the muscarinic. So now that is the effect that we want to have mostly. Nicotinic is very difficult, is having long-term effect. The muscarinic, you can manage more easily. So we're looking for, when we are doing medications, we are looking at muscarinic effect rather than nicotinic effect. But all of them, nicotinic and muscarinic, have the acetylcholine. The rest and digest. Cholinergic receptors. Say one time, cholinergic receptors. Say one time.
Cholinergic receptor.
Cholinergic receptors. Those receptors, what are the names of those receptors? Nicotinic and muscarinic.
Nicotinic muscarinic.
So now, I want you to start. I'm going to tell you what is the action of the acetylcholine. Acetylcholine, remember, what is the action that we already studied?
Contraction.
Giant cat, right? The contraction of the muscle. Yes or no?
Yeah.
Yes.
Yes.
So the cholinergic effect or acetylcholine are going to be basically muscle contraction of the smooth muscle and the affect the cardiac muscle too and affect the striate muscle. Acetylcholine. Right? So acetylcholine. Now, what are the effects of the acetylcholine? Listen to this, please. Listen to this. Write down that. Yo, you ready? You ready? Okay.
Mhm.
Listen. Acetylcholine, cholinergic effect. Acetylcholine looks for cholinergic receptors. When they affect the cholinergic receptors, obviously what you're going to have is a cholinergic effect. What is this cholinergic effect? You already know about the giant cat. Always remember that. But I want you to remember there was one very old teacher told me about this. Acetylcholine, everything wet. Write down that. Acetylcholine, everything wet. Everything wet. I will explain you. Everything wet. Why is everything wet? Because the acetylcholine are going to make contraction of the urinary bladder, make you pee. That is wet. There, the acetylcholine make the contraction of the GI tract, peristalsis, that are going to make you defecate. Another wet. They're going to make you poo. That is the acetylcholine. So that's why when I ask you to go to the bathroom, instead to tell me I'm going to the restroom or to the bathroom, put me acetylcholine, ACH. And another thing that is happening, tell me one thing. If you are hungry, and you didn't eat 2 days, and I put you a New York steak in front of you, are you drooling or no?
Yes.
Right? And that is actually rest and digest. That is acetylcholine again. So that is going to produce more salivation. So everything wet. Acetylcholine, everything wet. Conclusion here. Acetylcholine, everything wet, make you pee, poo, and drool. Pee, poo, drooling. Pee, poo, drooling. Pee, poo, drooling. Acetylcholine. Everything contraction. They're going to make you produce more saliva, they're going to make you urinate and produce defecation. Is that clear or no?
Yes.
Yes.
Okay. Now, another thing for the new students here. So, listen, when you have the sympathetic nervous system for one side, and you have the parasympathetic in another side, like this, when the sympathetic, there's a microphone that's making noise. Please don't cut my moment, please. Okay. All right. What I was saying. Okay. When the sympathetic is high, up means a lot of adrenaline. The parasympathetic go down. Highly. Will you follow me? You follow me? When the sympathetic do the opposite, down, the acetylcholine go up. But never, ever is going to be both up or both down at the same time. The sympathetic go up, the parasympathetic go down. When the sympathetic do the opposite, go down, the parasympathetic go up. For example, you are running. You have the fight or flight. When you are running, you are doing exercises, you are doing the sympathetic, correct? Adrenaline, correct? Yes or no? Okay? And what is happening with the parasympathetic? The parasympathetic is going down. And when you go down, the parasympathetic, what is doing? To pee and to poo. Now, when one is up, the other is down. And the example I was giving to you is the homework. Homework, okay? Where is homework? Lee, homework, join homework, okay? Homework, okay. The homework is going to be this. I want you to go out of your house and run. Run as much hard you have. Run, run. You're doing your fight or flight, your adrenaline. And tell me, I want you to try to poo at the same time. Meantime, you're running. Right?
No.
Can you do that? No.
No.
Why? Because the sympathetic is predominant at that moment. And the parasympathetic is actually the dominated. You okay with that? Never forget that. That is the parasympathetic nervous system, acetylcholine. Now, let's go back to our last review of this here in this guy. All right, so look at this. Oh, all right. We have the peripheral nervous system. The peripheral nervous system are going to divide in somatic and autonomic. We already talked about the sympathetic, parasympathetic, acetylcholine, sympathetic, adrenaline. But what about the somatic? The somatic is basically the giant cat, the acetylcholine. And that is going to use acetylcholine. Acetylcholine. We okay with that?
Yes.
Yes.
So don't forget that, okay? Now, one more thing just to finish this part. What is the overall picture about the nervous system? The nervous system is, you have the central nervous system is the center of control of everything. And we have the peripheral nervous system. Peripheral nervous system are all those branches coming from the spinal cord and go to all the internal organs, to all your muscles, to the heart, etc., etc., etc. And what is the peripheral nervous system? The best way to remember all these functions is this, that peripheral nervous system are the radars, are the elements that are going to make you know what is happening in the outside of your body, in the outside of the central nervous system. So those are the collectors of information that are coming into the central nervous system, and the central nervous system is going to produce these orders, commands, and transmit the orders through the peripheral nervous system. So peripheral nervous system is a way to know what is going on inside and outside your body. Those are those detectors. That is the peripheral nervous system. You okay with that?
Yes.
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 Okay, perfect. So, everything. Oh, one more thing I want to talk about that is everything is written there is the same. So I just want to follow what I said. So we basically finished. We need to do the cranial nerves in a few moments. All right. So that is the previous class. All right. So one more thing I want to tell. I want you to write down this. Tell me, Hailey. Tell me, when was the last time you was upset?
I can't recall.
Oh, you're very cool. Okay. So let's see. Lee, you were upset. What was the last time you were upset? Really upset? A long time ago? Short time ago?
Me? You asked me?
Yeah.
Yeah, long time ago.
Oh, sorry? A while ago. Tell me, when you were upset, what happened with your heart?
My heart beats faster.
Faster, right?
Yeah.
Why? Because the beta 1 adrenergic receptors, right? Right or no? Tell me, you breathe more deeper or less? When you're angry, you're like this, right? Why is that? Why is that? Why? Because you're fight or flight. You need to run. You want to escape. You want to fight, and you need more oxygen to your muscles. and that is actually the sympathetic nervous system. Now, let's see, Gabriela, let's go to the mall. I don't know, go to the mall like 2 years ago, I guess. The mall, I don't know the mall anymore. Okay, the mall. And you see like a nice, I would say, pants for you. A purse. I always talk about purse. You like this Gucci purse that you was looking for. What happened with your heart? Boom, 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 right? What happened with your pupils?
They get bigger.
Bigger, right? That is adrenergic. Everything that happened in sympathetic, when you're angry or excited, that is sympathetic. So your eyes are going to be wider. So your pupils are going to be very, very open. Why? Because you want more light to see the person you want to buy, right? Now, if this is the sympathetic, what happened with the parasympathetic? In the parasympathetic, the pupils of your eyes are going to be dilated or are going to be narrow.
Narrow.
Very good. I can read. Right, narrow. Right. Why? So why? Because just remember, the sympathetic is the opposite of the acetylcholine. No, the sympathetic is the opposite of the parasympathetic. So that means that the adrenaline is the opposite, doing the opposite than the acetylcholine. You okay with that? All right. So that is going to take you into the next level. All right. And thank you for that. I'm very happy. Any question, please? Otis, any question?
No questions.
Excellent. Jasmine, any question, please?
No questions.
Nikki, any question?
No question.
Miss Joy, any question?
No question.
Okay. All right. So
So
with that,
I have a question.
Oh, yeah. Okay, go, Christina.
So so the parasympathetic is the opposite of the sympathetic, with its acetylcholine, looking for the
Yes.
cholinergic receptors. So that'll be the nicotinic and the masonergic.
Yes. Yeah.
So those would do the opposite of all the alpha and betas.
Yes.
Okay.
Now, for everybody, if you understood everything I tell you, you can tell me this question with a little bit tricky, all right? A little bit only, just a little bit. So, who tell me? So, what happened with a heartbeat with the acetylcholine? It's going to be faster or slower? Slower. There you are.
Just relax.
There you are. There you are. Acetylcholine will be slower. So if you want to remember what happened with acetylcholine, just remember what happened when you are upset, what happened with adrenaline. When you're upset, adrenaline, when you want to know what is acetylcholine doing, is the opposite. Is the opposite of the adrenaline effect. An adrenaline effect, you can tell yourself when you get upset, when you get anger. So that is sympathetic. You okay with that? Okay. All right. So I think we are going to get into some of the PowerPoint here just to. All right. So we have the Serengeti River. You want Serengeti River again? No? You don't like Serengeti? Okay. So neurotransmitters, that is the way they're going to pass from the presynaptic to the postsynaptic. Synaptic gap, there is 3 pathways. One to go directly from the pre to the postsynaptic. Another one is the reuptake, and the other one is the destruction of the crocodiles. These crocodiles, they have 2 names. They are going to be the COMT and the MAO. So those are actually enzymes that destroy the neurotransmitters, within the synaptic gap.
Dr. G,
Yes.
when you were giving the example of the crocodile, you said something about taping their mouth so they cannot
Yeah.
swallow. What was that?
That is when, for example, you want to treat, when you have low levels, we have low levels of neurotransmitter, you don't want destruction of the neurotransmitter. So what we are doing is to block those enzymes, those crocodiles, in order to make more of the neurotransmitter able to pass. We okay with that?
Yeah.
Yeah.
All right, so that clear?
Yeah.
Yes, thank you.
Uh, the crocodile that are going to be for the acetylcholine is going to be the cholinesterase enzyme. So that is, for example, the crocodile for the acetylcholine, the cholinesterase. Cholinesterase, acetylcholine is an enzyme. That is the crocodile for the enzyme. So we can actually block that in order to produce more acetylcholine if that is required or needed. So there is a rainbow of possibilities. So I'm giving you the Christmas tree.
Nope.
Sorry? Oh, that was a bit. Okay. All right, so forget about the preganglionic. Otis, don't preganglionic, proganglionic. So I don't want you to go on that because this is basically what I want you to know is the presynaptic and the postsynaptic. That's all. Okay? We have the sympathetic nervous system. If you see here, the sympathetic, look at this, is in the center, is the thoracolumbar. That is where it's coming, the sympathetic. Here we have the cranial, and here the sacral. That is the parasympathetic that we are going to see in the next few moments. All right, so we already talked about that. All right, so just mention here. Oh my God, what happened with my? All right, so herpes. Somebody know? Somebody you know somebody with shingles?
Yes, I got it after my pregnancy.
Oh, really? Happened? I'm sorry.
Yeah.
It's very,
But-
very inconvenient, very annoying.
Mm.
Thank you that is passing already. So the herpes zoster is going to be a viral infection of the nerves. The virus, they love the nerves. Herpes zoster are appear on the side of the ribs. So the ribs of the ribs, your ribs, on the ribs on the top are going to pass, they're going to pass nerves. Those are the nerves who are going to be affected by the herpes zoster or shingles. Okay, so these viruses, they love to eat nerves or to eat nerves. Sciatic. How many you have? How many you know somebody with sciatic nerve? Right? Sciatic. Sciatic. I will tell you the pain when you hit your. Tell me, do you feel that pain when you hit your elbow against the surface? And that was like electricity. Do you feel that before? So that is exactly the same pain that a person who has sciatic problems. Very painful. Sciatic is the largest nerve in the body. Is the largest nerve in the body. The largest nerve. Multiple sclerosis. Multiple sclerosis is when the myelin are going to be absent. So all the white matter, you see the white matter are going to be basically destroyed because the multiple sclerosis, MS, you don't have escape. You better now know it now than later. Multiple sclerosis is an autoimmune disorder who destroy the myelin of the white matter. So that's why the electrical impulses are going to be very, very slow, right? So they can produce problems of pain, especially in the muscles, lack of coordination, etc., multiple sclerosis. So what I want you to remember, multiple sclerosis destroy the myelin. Myelin is an autoimmune disorder.
Is there any way to recover the myelin once it's just like deteriorating a little? Is there some way to recover that?
It's very hard to recover. So what we are trying to do is to delay the destruction. To delay the destruction. Okay? Okay. I'm going to just select what I want you to remember, and that's it. All right. So now I want just to, in your exercises, you're going to see some extra things that I'm going to try to cover in a few moments because I need to do the cranial nerves. All right. So I'm going to show you what is you're going to check what is a dermatoma. Sorry. Dermatoma. This is a dermatoma. I'm sure that is coming a lot of pictures. Where is dermatoma? Dermatoma. This is a good picture of dermatoma. Look at this. Dermatoma. I'm going to copy here. I'm going to just add it here. Oh. Okay, so these dermatomas are a distribution of the spinal nerves. So what does it mean? I'm going to write down the name here. It's called the dermatoma. Dermatoma. From this spinal cord, they are going to distribute the spinal nerves coming into certain areas of the body. So just you need to know the concept. That's all. Because when we are doing assessment of the nervous system, you're going to have, for example, some numbness in this area. You have numbness in this area behind the thigh. That means the spinal nerve at the level of S2 is being damaged. If you have pain here on this area, this dermatoma, all these segments are dermatomas, and that is going to distribute the sensitivity given by the nerves. So when we want to explore which area of the spinal cord is being damaged, we do this mapping. So basically, it's like a bands of distribution of the spinal nerves along the skin. That is called a dermatoma. So that's why when you have, for example, a problem on the on your hand, so you have a numbness on the right hand, the fifth finger, the pinky finger. So C8. So that means the C8 is correspond to this area, C8. So C8. Now, why is C8? All right, so I need to explain you that. You have the cervical vertebrae, we have C1, C2, C3, C4, C5, C6, and C7, period. Now, but what happened with the cervical nerves? Cervical nerves are going to be those nerves coming from the spinal cord, coming from the spinal cord. And they are going to be on the top of C1 is going to be C1. Below the C1, C2. Then C3, C4. Those are the nerves. C5, C6, C7. And below C7, we have C8. So we have 7 cervical vertebrae, and in between these vertebrae are going to arise some spinal nerves. How many cervical spinal nerves we have? We have 8 spinal nerves, but we have 7 vertebrae. The reason is because here on the top we have up and down. So this is C1, C2, C3, C4, C5, C6, C7, and below C7 there's another spinal nerve that is called the C8. Okay? Dermatoma. You okay with that?
Yeah.
Another tip here. And please remember this forever. And this is Let me see. Okay. All right. All right. So here we have, let's make it here, the spinal nerve going to the arm here. This is spinal nerve. That is peripheral nervous system. And this area is the central nervous system. So you already know that in the cross section, the pain, this is the afferent, etc. All right, and they are going to send the information to the cortex, correct? And then they are going to send back another information down the same level and arise the efferent. This is the efferent, and this is the afferent. So the stimulus is here. They're going to go to the spinal cord. They are going to transmit all the way down to the parietal lobe. They're going to come back then and go to the efferent. So this is called the motor neuron. From here, from the cortex to the spinal cord, motor neuron. And the other one is from here to the organ. All this spinal nerve are going to be the effector nerve. Okay. So now, when you have a lesion on the motor neuron, that motor neuron is called the first neuron. The other name is the first neuron, or the first motor neuron. First motor neuron, or first neuron. First motor neuron. And that is the second motor neuron, the efferent, the one who is the spinal nerve. Second motor neuron. All right. So now, when you have damage of the first motor neuron, you have a spastic paralysis. So your muscles are totally rigid. And when you have damage on the spinal nerve, there are going to be a flaccid paralysis. That's it. So you have somebody with paralysis. So the muscles are totally stiff. That means that the problem is in the first motor neuron. That means from the brain to the spinal cord. That is the damage in any of the pathway. When you have paralysis and you are very stiff, spastic. Spastic, we saw in bioscience. Spastic means a hardening of the muscle permanently, like this, spastic. That is the first motor neuron. And when you have a problem on the spinal nerve that are coming out from the spinal cord, if you have paralysis, that paralysis will be flaccid. So your muscles are totally relaxed. You okay with that?
Yeah.
Okay. And the last thing, how to recognize and how to prove. All right, so we are going to have a test. Oh my God. Okay, so we are going to talk about that test later, but I want just to remember this. This is the name. Babinski sign. What is the Babinski sign? Babinski sign. So listen, Babinski sign means damage of the first motor neuron. Where is the first motor neuron? From the cortex to the spinal cord, period. That is the first motor neuron. When you have damage from here or any place from the cortex down to the spinal cord, any damage in any of the pathway are going to be the damage of the first motor neuron, and that produces a spastic paralysis to the upper extremity, to the lower extremity, whatever. And the proof and the test of that is the Babinski sign. What is the Babinski sign? And that is what we finished here. And let me see. Homework, okay? Homework. Babinski sign. The Babinski sign is going to be, let me see if I have, please, computer very fast. There you are. That is the Babinski sign.
Yes! It's Caesar SWAT's 10th anniversary, and I'm here to make sure you celebrate.
In this video, I'm going to demonstrate the Babinski sign, which is used in neurological screening. Hi, and welcome back to Physio Tutors. The Babinski sign has a reported sensitivity of 51% and specificity of 99% in the detection of an upper motor neuron lesion, as reported in a study by Jaramillo et al. In year 2014.
First neuron.
To test for the Babinski sign, run a pointed object from the heel along the lateral aspect of the foot forwards towards the great toe. In a normal human being, it will result in the flexor reflex or grasping of the toes. The Babinski sign or reflex is a pathological reflex and is characterized by extension of the big toe and abduction of the other toes, which is also called the fan sign or signe de levante. In severe cases, the Babinski sign may be accompanied by hip and knee flexion.
All right, so in conclusion, look at this. This is my feet, and you're going to go with the tool, as in the clinicals, how to do Babinski, okay? You're going to touch here and like a scratch, like this. So your foot are going to do this. But if your feet, your toes are doing this, like a fan, that means the motor neuron is damaged. That is the Babinski sign in a few words. Okay? Now, and the last thing here. When we are going to call the first motor neuron, or call the upper motor nerve. Is the upper motor nerve. This first motor neuron goes from the spinal cord to the cortex of the brain. Or you can say cortex to the spinal cord, either way. And that actually, the test you're using is the Babinski sign. What you have here is a paralysis that is spastic. Means permanent contraction. Stiffness, totally. That is the first motor neuron. The second motor neuron is called the lower motor neuron, the LMN. So LMN. So the lower motor neuron or nerve. And that actually there is no test for that. That is going to be a paralysis. This paralysis can be called flaccid paralysis. So your muscle is totally relaxed. You cannot contract at all. You okay with that? Okay?
Dr. G,
Yes.
what is funny? What if you're that ticklish that someone can touch your feet?
Wait, what?
You know, some people are like that ticklish that you can
Ticklish?
yeah.
No,
Does it show?
no, it's not going to. Look at this. This is your foot. Not here, not in the middle, on the side. Go from the heel all the way up to the small toe, all the way. So that is not going to do tickling. Okay? All right. So that's very good, very good. So it's not in the middle, huh? It's on the border. On the border where you scratch one time like this, like this. Okay? We got it?
Thank you.
All right, so let's go to the cranial nerves. And for that, I need to open my previous previous what lecture. So that is in the previous lecture, okay? Oh God, I just don't like sounds. You know, I need to recover my memory stick. They are going to tell me a diagnosis in the 28. It's very expensive, but I need it anyhow. I'm not going to have any hesitation to pay whatever they want to pay. But anyhow, so that is updates on many courses. All right, so let's start. All right, so look at this. These are the 12 cranial nerves. Cranial nerves. Where are coming the cranial nerves? Coming basically the majority of them from the brain stem. What they are going to use is a parasympathetic pathway. So what does it mean? They are using acetylcholine. Now, we have 12 pairs, one on the right, one on the left. We have these 12. You must know for the exam this, okay? So it's a lot of memorization. Yes, I know, but it's needed. So number one, we have the olfactory cranial nerve. That is what is making you smell. Number two, the optic nerve. So please write down, optic nerve is only for vision, not for eye movement. No for eye movement. You okay with that?
Yes.
Now, I want you to remember these three numbers, 3, 4, and 6. 3, 4, and 6. 3, 4, and 6. 3, 4, and 6 are the oculomotor neuron. Forget about motor or mix. Oculomotor. We have the trochlear nerve, number 4, and number 6, the abducens. These 3, 4, 6 are for eye movement. Are for eye movement. 3, 4, 6. 3, 4, 6. 3, 4, 6. 3, 4, 6. Oculomotor, trochlear, and abducens. You need to repeat it many times in order to memorize that. We have the trigeminal nerve, number 5. Trigeminal nerve. So we have 3 branches that are going to the ocular, the maxillary, and the mandibular. So there's 3. I don't want you to remember that. Trigeminal basically is what is doing the mastication. Number 7, facial. The facial are actually the cranial nerve that is giving the expression of your face. Facial expression. Are you smiling? Facial nerve. Are you frown your forehead? Facial nerve. So all the facial expression is the facial nerve. Part of the taste too, but I'm not going to go that. So just facial face expression. Vestibulocochlear. The vestibulocochlear is the basically what we talk in bioscience, the vestibule and the cochlea and the ear, the inner ear, right? So that nerve is the one who produces the hearing. Number 8. Number 9, the glossopharyngeal. The glossopharyngeal is basically what is doing the swallowing. Glossopharyngeal. The vagus nerve is called vagus. Why? Because this guy is wandering with a walking everywhere, because the vagus nerve are going to innervate the heart, the lungs, the gastrointestinal system. See, everything. Vagus nerve. The accessory cranial nerve 11 is what I call the I don't care. Why? Because when you do this, you go up and down your shoulders, that is the accessory nerve, the accessory nerve 11. And number 12 is the strength of your tongue. So how you can check the strength of your tongue? I want you to close your mouth and push with your tongue the inner of your gum, of your face. Push and put your hand here. Check. Push with your hand, with your tongue, and then push to the other side with the same hand. So that should be equal. That is the hypoglossum. All right. Now, how to remember? Look at this, please. Number 1. How many cranial nerves we have?
12.
Huh?
12.
12. Okay, number 1. Number 1 is the olfactory. How many noses you have?
1.
Number 2 is the optic nerve. How many eyes you have?
2.
2. So there you are. 1 and 2. 1 is the olfactory cranial nerve, and number 2 is the optic nerve. Then we have 3, 4, 6. 3, 4, 6. 3, 4, 6. 3, 4, 6 is the ocular motor. Ocular motor. We have the trochlea, and we have the abducens. So what they are going to do that is eye movement. Eye movement. No vision. No vision. Number 5 is going to be the mastication. That trigeminal mastication. 6, you already, this is 3, 4, and 6. So we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and 6. So we have 7 more. 7. For 7, I want you to remember this. This is the 7. Can you see this? What is that? 7 upside down, right? Yes or no?
Yes.
7 upside down. 7 upside down.
Lips.
Look like a face or no? Or no?
Yes.
That is 7. You can write on 7, 7, 7, 7. So you can draw a face. And 7 means facial nerve. The facial nerve. Number 8. Number 8. Look at this. What is that? That is the ear of the monster. The ear. 8 is the ear. Ear is the vestibular cochlear nerve. Vestibular cochlear nerve. Vestibular. Just remember your anatomy of bioscience. The vestibule, you have the semicircular canal for one side and the cochlea. So this nerve go from the vestibule to the cochlea. So that's why it's called the vestibular or vestibule cochlear nerve. You okay with that?
Yes.
9. 9. So we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 now. 9 is going to be, this is the head and this is the tongue. What number is that? Is the 9. That is the glossopharyngeal. That is the swallowing. You swallow. Swallowing. Number 10. 10 is the vagus nerve. Vagus nerve, I remember that like Las Vegas. Vagus nerve are Las Vegas. Why? And when you go to Las Vegas, the first time you try to know everything. You walk everything around. You don't have you walk all day, right? So, and the vagus nerve is actually working all the cardiovascular system, the respiratory system, and is going to innervate to the lungs. Oh, sorry, the gastrointestinal. Now, number 11. Look at this, 11, 11, 11, like you shrug your shoulders. I don't care. Up and down. That is the 11, the accessory nerve. I don't care. I don't care. So when you do this, is you are checking the basically the cranial nerve number 11, the accessory. And number 12, we just need to remember that, is the hypoglossum. That is actually the strength of the tongue strength. Okay? So that is, in general, what I want you to remember for the cranial nerves. I know it's a lot. That's why I didn't teach that in the previous class, because you have until next Monday. Okay? So that is the reason I did this in purpose. Okay? All right. So now I want just to do the application of this. So can you give me a couple minutes, please? When you have, for example, a neurological exam, and that's what you need to know about cranial nerves. You need to know all the names and the numbers. Names and numbers, okay? So they are going to tell you, okay, can you smell, close your eyes and you smell this? Oh, smell this? Okay, I can smell. All right, so that's why. Your olfactory nerve is okay, very good. Can you see my hand? Can you see my hand? Yes. Okay, cranial nerve 2 is working. You don't go to the 20 feet, whatever. That is to be acuity. So you want to know if there is vision or not. That's it. When you have neurological exam, you see, how many fingers you see? 5. Enough. Your cranial nerve 2 is working. Cover one eye, cover the other eye. Your cranial nerve 2 is working. Now, I want you to follow my finger with your eyes without moving your head. Right to left, up and down. Right to left, up and down. That are the cranial nerve 3, 4, and 6. 3, 4, 6, 3, 4, 6, 3, 4, 6, 3, 4, 6. That is the what is this left? No,
Oculomotor.
There you are. 3, 4, 6. 3, 4, 6 is the oculomotor, the trochlea, and the abducens. So that is eye movement. It's not vision, okay? 5 is that terminal. Number 7, from your face, smile. That is, can you smile from your face? It's cranial nerve number 7. Now do this with your finger and put it here in your ear. Can you hear that? Can you hear that? So that is the way you can hear. You can ask the patient if they're hearing or not. Right? Got it? All right. So that is number 9. Number 9. Can you swallow? Swallow. Take a little bit of swallow. Okay. The cranial nerve 9 is working. Number 10. The way to assess number 10, I will give you at the end number 10. 11. You're going to put your hands here on the shoulder, and you ask the patient to do up and down, up and down, up and down in both sides. One first and the other one says. So you can do simultaneously if you want. That is cranial nerve number 11. And number 12, you're going to put your tongue here on inside your mouth and push. And feel the pressure with your hand. And then with the same hand, other side. The pressure should be the same. Okay, the vagus nerve is actually when they make you gagging. They put this cranial nerve number 10. They ask you to say ah, and the uvula that is on the posterior portion need to move symmetrically like this. But it's moving like this or like this only, or not moving, that means the cranial nerve is not working. The cranial nerve is the one who are going to stimulate the vomiting. So sometimes we put the stick a little bit deeper, and the patient so this gagging, right? That it means cranial nerve is okay. So what I'm trying to tell you is this: this neurological examination is important because when you assess all the cranial nerves, basically what you are doing is putting your eyes inside the body. You're looking with your eyes the brain stem. the brainstem, when all the cranial nerves are working, means that the brainstem is okay. All right, so homework. You want proof of the vagus nerve? All right, so let's do proof of the vagus nerve. Tell me, when was the last time you were drunk? Don't tell me, don't tell me. So when you get drunk, what happened? Harjit, you never drink. I know. Sorry. I know. Sorry.
Bro, you vomit.
So what you're doing is putting your fingers. You have a stomach ache, right? You put your fingers on your throat and push. Yes or no? Yes or no?
Yes.
See, everybody say yes, right? Okay. All right. So you push your fingers, and what happened? You start to vomit. Why is that? Why? Because the vagus nerve is running on the throat, posterior to the wall. So that's why when you push your fingers against the wall of the throat, you're stimulating the vagus nerve, and that are going to make the vomit. Tell me one thing: when you eat too much, you have nausea and you want to vomit? Why?
Yeah.
Why? Because when you eat it too much, you are distending the stomach. You're distending the stomach, and that is where the vagus nerve is passing. It's the same thing that when you push with your fingers your throat, the food is pushing the wall of the stomach, and that causes nausea and vomiting. Cranial nerve number 10. Thank you so much. I hope you enjoy it as much as I enjoy it. I know there is more information, and yeah, I hope you like it as I do. All right. Any comment, please? Joy, any comment? What is your comment about the class, the lecture?
No, it was really good, and you used a lot of real life examples, so it brought more understanding to the topic. So that was good.
Okay, thank you. Diana, please, can you give me your opinion?
I agree with Joy. It was a good lecture, and I'm probably gonna go mess with my boyfriend now to see if his cranial nerves work.
Oh, excellent. Yeah, you can use your cat, your dog. Your boyfriend is useful too. Please, Anna.
Yeah, I agree with everybody, Dr. G. It's good that you give us some, what do you call that, mnemonic,
Okay.
to memorize everything.
Yeah, you need to review.
Mm-hmm.
Please. Mr. Otis. Okay.
Yeah, I didn't really see 25 questions in it, but I guess I better study it as much as I can.
There's 25 questions, Mr. Otis.
Okay, all right.
Okay. No, your comment about the class, it was okay?
Oh, that's all right.
All right. Okay. Gabi.
It was good. I feel like the videos that you showed us to relate the material to helped a lot. And then the life experiences too, because it helps me connect the material better. And then I have a better understanding and I'll remember it too.
Okay, thank you. Thank you so much. Miss Aurora.
I agree a lot with Gabby, especially when you show us like videos. It gives me like a vision to remember, to look back at, and then it just helps me memorize it better and give me a visual understanding. It's a lot though. There's some stuff that were reviewed from bioscience, and then you added more stuff. So got to review more of that.
Excellent. Thank you so much, Aurora. Wrap up, Andrea, please.
Yeah, I agree with my classmates. Very knowledgeable, and the way that you teach and make us to absorb the information very, I don't know, easy way. And also we can apply daily on our life, is in opening our eyes to be more observe how things work around us.
Mm-hmm.
I appreciate. Thank you.
Thank you. Now let's build up more dendrites, okay? Everybody, right?
Yeah.
You like dendrites?
Yeah.
Right? Okay. Let's do dendrites. Okay, let's do dendrites. Okay, muchas gracias. I'm going to stay until the end. If somebody wants to make a comment or have something to ask, or I don't think anybody's shy right now at this moment.
Yeah.
This is an open class. Everybody can participate equal, and actually everybody have the same chance opportunity. So I'm very open for all of you. So contact me, text me anytime before 12 at night, because trying to sleep. So, but you can contact anytime, any day, and I hopefully in the other courses are doing good too. As and we okay. So just keep going what you're doing. Thank you so much. Thank you. Thank you. Have a good night.
Have you posted the homework already?
Yeah, I'm going to post it in the next few minutes, please.
Yes, sir.
Thank you, Mister. Thank you, Mr. Ortiz. Muchas gracias. Arjit, any question? I'm going to cut my recording.